Okay, when you take a look, there's a couple files. Some of these cookie designs are three-dimensional. Take a look at this one, for example. A couple of you have tried it already. But when you take a look, as you're trying to do a profile for this, when you click on it, you can see the profile is just one shape that makes this whole image. So you can simply just take the pen tool and click and try to draw that image. You can simulate it as best you can. You're drawing the chocolate kiss on the top first, and then the cookie part would be second, kind of coming around this edge here like this. Okay, so I'm going to leave that part and give myself this edge to decide on how to clean that up. Just going to take a rectangular tool and draw a shape that goes so it touches the top of this right at the beginning. I'll give it a color so you can see the difference of it. And let's see if I can swap that over and just take that stroke off. So this way I can use the tools to help me make a straight edge. Before I had you use the guides, so this way it makes it a little bit easier just to swap that over and make that piece. So you can see that this will be the similar profile as this one. The only trouble is I need the chocolate part to cover, and this is going to be used as a symbol. So I'm just going to take a rectangular shape, make a shape. It has the color. Make sure that the color swatch is there, and just give it a chocolate looking color. And there I have that piece. So I'm going to wrap this as a symbol around that top part. Before I go into making it three-dimensional, I'm just going to take the symbols palette. Here you can see I already have one from before. So I just click on New Symbol. Like I said, you can title it, give it a name, click on Movie Clip, it should be okay, and it shows up in here for you. The tricky part is now when I go to make this as a three-dimensional piece, we've done the part where you've gone and extruded this. So most of the ones that we've done has been an extrusion. This one's going to be a revolve. And when I hit the preview, you'll see that it doesn't look like what you want. It's going on a different axis. It's easy to fix. When you take a look at this part, it's having a left edge or right edge. You have two options. So just click on the one that's going to make it read properly. Okay? And you could also do these separately, but this makes it a little bit easier to work with. So I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a couple of lights in here, depending on how you like to do your lighting. Click one. This one I'm going to put over here on the side and click so it goes to the back, just to give me some different look to it. So you can get an idea from that part. Then go to the map art, and you can see this gets a little tricky. Here the part looks like it's all one piece. In this one, I'd have to put the symbol on two parts. This one, it looks like it's going to match. So there's only two images on this. That's the top one. Here's the bottom part that represents the whole cookie. And you can see this is almost like how they do a map of the world where it has it looking like an orange peel when it opens itself up. So I'm just going to come down, grab this symbol. You see that it's, depending on where I place it, it's going to wrap around certain segments. I just want to make sure that it overlaps this segment, comes down and overlaps this part, and gives me the whole piece covered. This part is now where you're going to see a difference. When you click on this shaded part, it's going to let the color show through a little bit more, and you can see the highlights here. And then just go ahead and click OK. And click OK, and you kind of have this piece to work with. Now, as you go through some of this stuff, you have all these images. You can take a look at some of the other pieces and kind of see how you can illustrate some of these with that. Just very quickly, if you take a look at something like the segment of this gingerbread man or any of the snowmen that are here, you can just take the shape and use some of the shapes to help you illustrate this. So for example, this one I don't have. I can kind of just draw this and using your own freehand ability to draw some of these pieces and seeing if you can't recreate that shape or that image. Cookie's hiding them in there a little bit. Change it around. And this one you're not using the symmetrical part to help you with, so it kind of gives you a little more of a freehand look to it, which is kind of what some of the baked pieces are. And if you do the same piece, I'm going to, for example, take this part. Looks like it's embedded into that segment. So there's two parts. I'll just select the both of them, and to start off, just give them this one color and swap it over so it has that piece. And then just select the inside one and just give it a red value to it so you can see it a little bit more. So now before I three-dimensionalize these or extrude them, I'm just going to select the both of them and use this divider piece. So now that you can see that this has a segment to it that you can break that apart, and then that way you have a couple of options to work from. If you ungroup these segments to it, you can kind of see that this has a hole in it. So now when I go to Effect 3D and extrude this, you can kind of get this idea. If I jump this back down to a couple pieces and just give it a little bit of a rounded edge to it, maybe even make that a little bit smaller. Make this a little bit smaller. So when you have that, just as a rough idea, you can do the same with this one. Effect, if you just go to the top one, it's going to automatically place that. So you can see that sometimes it gives it that embossed, like it's pushed into the surface, as opposed to the other ones where it was just on the surface itself. So when you take a look, you can kind of look at these pieces of how to draw these segments. This circular one up at the top, just to show you that real quick, is you can draw one circle, give it a thickness to it and a color, and increase that a little bit. And there's a little green dot that shows the center of that circle, so I can do that piece as well. And you can take two of these together. You can draw them separately all the time if you want, but you can go to what they call blend, and you can make a blend in between there, and it'll put a space right in between there. You can also then go to the blend and check the options. And when you take a look, it gives you smooth color or specified steps. So you can actually increase these pieces, so to give you a couple rows together. So it gives you an option to put something like that together. So you can use some of those as patterns or as actual three-dimensional pieces for yourself. So it's just a few more segments. And then the last thing is down here is trying to make this dish that you can start to put these pieces together. This is what you would call a cross-section. And when you go to Effect 3D and do the revolve around this, you'll see that it gives you this dish look. So it's almost like working on a ceramics potter's wheel when you're throwing clay, if you've ever tried that. You're using this image, and this is giving you this cross-section. If I can't see the bottom half, what's happening there, I can also just rotate that around, and you'll be able to see what the bottom part looks like. So it's just giving you a little bit of a look-see to see how to put some of those together. So it gives you the idea of doing this dish. The easiest way to do this is to take the pen tool, and even if you just do a straight segment, just coming down like this, even a curved piece like that, I mean, that would be sufficient enough to get you started, and anything that you did beyond that would be some details. I'm just going to use a square rectangular shape to do the same part of punching that out. Here it's minusing that, so it gives me that edge. But if I went ahead and made this into a three-dimensional segment of revolve, it wouldn't really give me a lot of detail. It's kind of just a flat surface. So the nice thing is that you can go back into this profile that's here and kind of add some things to it. So I'm just going to add a couple segments, at least at the bottom part, and maybe put a couple indentations to show the different levels of the dish when you see it. And these can be also placed down here and rotated to give you some different looks to it. So I can rotate this image, and it's almost like if you've ever worked on a lathe, something like that, it gives you that shape. Grab all these pieces together, merge them again, take the rectangle tool to trim off this edge, and just select both of them, the ones on top, and that'll subtract that piece to give you that look. So now when you go to Effect 3D and Revolve, you'll be able to see a little bit of a couple strokes inside here that looks like the inside of the dish, pieces in there. You can also make a map art. Now this will be a little trickier as far as try to locate. Now there's 15 sides of this because it looks at every one of these faces as a piece. So as you go through that, that would be a segment that you could try to come through and see what would happen. So you can kind of put a pattern. You can make a pattern that's much larger on there, trying to get that whole surface, see if you can't recreate that image in there. But as you go through this, you can see all the different angles what this is happening to. It goes to the front and the back, and then back to the front. So it's just a way to try to help you get some ideas, and then we'll kind of let you work on those segments. So here's the profile. Here's the finished piece of what it looks like as you go through that segment.